All right, so let's look at Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is a lot of rational expressions. We're gonna, I'm gonna skip the adding, subtracting ones. My honors class will do those, but just for my regular folks, we'll do the other problems. For the honors class, if you need any help on the adding, subtracting ones, we can do them together in class. All right, but number 1. Now again, I'm gonna change my number 1 from your number 1, so it's not the same. But let's see here. Let's make mine 3 over 4x divided by, let's say, 3x over, we'll say y. We'll just say y. Why not? All right. So it's not the same as your problem. It's similar, but it's a little different. So it says here we're dividing fractions. Now, you need to remember that you never actually divide fractions. You have to think, when have I ever divided fractions? And the answer is you don't. Because what we do every time is we change the problem. Have you ever heard of keep, change, flip? It's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to keep 3 over 4x, exactly the same. We're going to change this to multiplication, and then we're going to flip the second fraction. So this is the exact same problem through keep, change, flip. So now it's just a matter of multiplying straight across. So on top, I've got 3y, and on bottom, I've got 4 times 3 makes 12, and then x makes x squared. So there's my answer. I just need to reduce this. 3 over 12 can be reduced because I can divide both of those by 3. So that becomes a 1, and this would become a 4. So I'd have 1y over 4x squared. So it's just like that. It's keep, change, flip. It's nothing too over the top. All right, let's look at number 2. Number 2, there's a lot of factoring involved in basically everything you have here. So I'm going to make up a slightly different problem. Let's say I've got, let's say I've got 60, no. Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll say 64x squared, no, x to the 4th, because that's what we have in your problem. All right, minus, we'll say 36. We'll do that. All right. So, and then on the bottom, we'll have, this is not going to work out very well. I should have planned this one out because it's not going to be very neat if I don't really think about it. So give me a second to think about this. Okay, we're going to say the bottom here is 8x to the 3rd plus 6x. Okay, we're going to see how that works. I think this will work. So basically, it's a bunch of factoring. On top, I've got a GCF. Both terms here, 64 and 36, can both be divided by 4. And when I divide both of them by 4, that 4 comes out, and we are left with, well, 64 divided by 4 would be 16x to the 4th, and 36 divided by 4 would be 9. So that's what we're left with. And we can still factor that, and I will later on, but let's just focus on the GCF there for now. On the bottom, there's also a GCF. 8x to the 3rd and 6x. They could both be divided by a 2x. So that 2x will come out. And I can reduce that into, that would be x squared plus 6x divided by 2x would be just 3. No, yeah, 3. Oh, this would be 4x squared, my bad. Because 8 divided by 2 is obviously 4. So 4x squared plus 3. Now also, I'm noticing at this point in time that I have 4 over 2, and I can reduce that. 4 over 2 reduces to 2 over 1. So you can leave it like that. I'm going to erase the 1 because I don't need it, because 1x is just the same as x. But now what you really got to focus your attention on is difference of squares for this. So let me kind of move that over here off to the side, kind of out of the way, just to show you. 16x to the 4th minus 9. This is a difference, because of the minus sign, of squares. 16 is a perfect square, 9 is a perfect square. So you have to take the square root of both. Square root of 16x to the 4th would be 4x to the 2nd, and the square root of 9 would be 3. So you'd have 4x to the 2nd, 4x to the 2nd, and then you'd have 3 and negative 3 over here. So then you pair them. You have 4x to the 2nd plus 3 as one pair, and 4x to the 2nd minus 3 as the other. So let's put this back up here, which would make that 2 would still be on the outside. And then you'd have that 4x to the second plus 3, and then the 4x to the second minus 3. All over, don't forget the bottom has x, and 4x to the second plus 3. So we're pretty much done, except for the fact that I have something that cancels. The 4x squared plus 3 is on top and on bottom, so they can cancel each other right out, leaving us with 2 4x squared minus 3 on top and just plain x on the bottom, which is the same thing if you FOIL this or distribute this back together. It'd be 8x squared minus 6 over x. It would be the exact same thing as the answer. I don't know if you have to do that at the end of yours, but there you go. I worked it out pretty quickly, but it's there. It's all there. You can slow it down. You can rewatch it if you want to. We're skipping number 3, skipping number 4. All right, number 5. The key to number 5 is FOILing. So let's say I've got x plus, we'll say 6. And then I've got over 4x. And then times, we'll say x, we'll make this y minus 3 or something, just similar to yours but different, and then we'll have y on the bottom. All right, so I'm going to put parentheses around x plus 6 because technically speaking, x plus 6 belong together as a binomial. So now I'm going to have to FOIL the top, but before I do that, I've got an independent x here. It's not in the parentheses, it's just all on its own. Same thing down here. That x is also on its own because there's no plus sign, no minus sign with the 4. If it was 4 plus x, it'd be a different story. But it's not. It's just times x. So they're both independent, which means they can both cancel each other out, right? An x on the top and an x on the bottom will cancel out and leave you with 1. So that x on top and that x on bottom essentially can cancel each other out. If they were both on top, it wouldn't work. If they were both on bottom, it wouldn't work. One has to be on top, one has to be on bottom. And they cancel out. So really, this is the same thing. It's just not even having those x's there. So because you're multiplying, you have to multiply the top together. And to do that, you have to FOIL. So x times y would be xy. X times negative 3 would be negative 3x. 6 times y would be 6y. Let me go ahead and put the arrows. And then 6 times negative 3 would be negative 18. And on the bottom, I have 4y. That's pretty much it, honestly. There's no like terms or anything. There's nothing else I can do. So that's my answer, pretty much. Okay. Number 6, I'll just tell you, is just factor and cancel. Factor the top and factor the bottom, and you're going to have to use product and sum for that. Factor the top, factor the bottom, and then cancel out anything that matches. Number 7 is the same way. You're going to have to factor the bottom part and see what cancels after you factor. Number 8. So let's do something similar to number 8. So let's say I've got 3x plus 4 over 9 equal to x. So similar to your problem. Now notice that this side here is being divided by 9. Well, if I want to undo that, then I can multiply that side by 9. Because the 9 on the top and the 9 on the bottom cancel. But of course, I can't multiply one side by 9 and not do it to the other. So I have to make sure I multiply the right side by 9 as well. So now if I did that, the 9's not going to be on the left side anymore. It'll just be the 3x plus 4 because I've canceled out the 9. And on the right side, I've got x times 9, which is 9x. So now it's a pretty simple problem. I'm going to subtract this 3x so I can move it over here. That'll leave me 4 equal to 6x, and then I would divide by 4. Or I can't divide by 4, I would divide by 6 because that's the one with the x on it. So my answer would be x equal to 4 over 6, which would reduce to 2/3. But the key to that problem is the very first step, multiplying both sides to kind of cancel that denominator out. Very important. We're going to skip number 9. Well, in my regular class, we're skipping 9, 10, 11, all those other ones. So if you're in my honors class, we can work that out together. Just let me know. But for that, that's going to end chapter 7 video. See you guys in chapter 8.